You can click any of the annotations here to jump to that part of the video right now. At any point throughout the video, you can click the video menu annotation in the bottom left corner to return to this menu. What is going on, dudes? How you guys doing? I am TheeRealDuke, and welcome to my Robocraft beginner tips video. I hope you guys are doing all right today. I want to show you guys a couple of tips and pointers to get you started, jump right in and be effective when we're playing Robocraft. Robocraft is a free game. It's still in alpha. It's brought to you by the small team of cool dudes at Free Jam, and it actually is the second most downloaded game of 2014 on Steam. I play on Steam, but you can download it from them directly on their website. I do encourage you to go check it out if you have not done so already. Basically, there's a couple points in here that you need to know to get started and, like I said, be effective at playing Robocraft. I'm just going to go over those different things for you because they take some getting used to get them figured out. So the first thing I want to tell you guys about is tiers. There are currently 11 tiers. And they're down at the bottom here. You can see them along this line. It looks like a ruler. There's 11 tiers, tiers 1 to 10, and then TX1. And TX1 represents the Megabots tier. We'll get more into the higher tiers and what they mean later. Right now we're just trying to get you guys started. Basically, the combination of parts and the level of each of those parts determines what tier your robot fits into. So the more things you add to your robot, the higher the tier it will fit into. The current tier that you're in is blue, and you can see here. And as I add more things to it, it moves the needle up. It moves this line up. It advances it further and further, and eventually if I add enough things, I'll be in tier 2. And if I add enough things after that, I'll be in tier 3, etc., etc. It generally helps to prevent larger, more advanced or destructive robots from being too OP and just trolling lower level bots. And it actually balancing the power of your robot against what tier it fits into is one of the main challenges in Robocraft, but we'll get into that a little bit later. You can hit C. C is the hotkey to go into the Cube Depot. The Cube Depot is where you can buy all of the parts for your robot that you have unlocked via the tech tree or that are already unlocked for you. As you can see, this is just the basic bot. This is a new account, so this is the basic bot you start with. These are the cubes that come unlocked for you, weapons and so forth. You also have a cosmetic thing which costs Galaxy Cash, which is real world money. You can purchase using RP, which is a primary method, right up here. So that allows you to purchase things, right? The green, and then Galaxy Cash. Everything has one of those values also, which you can, purchase more advanced stuff with real world money again. So hovering over the parts also tells you what all the properties of those particular parts are. So if we just hover over the light chassis cube, you can see there are 4 main part stats. And for the early game, if you're just getting started, these are the only ones you really have to concern yourself with. If we go into hardware, for example, like we look at our SMG, we can see there's other ones like damage at 160 meters, damage at 320 meters, etc. We don't need to worry about those for right now. We need to worry about right now is the mass. So weight is a big concern. It's the first one. This cube's mass is 5 kilograms. It's a big concern early on in the game. There are lots of unbalanced robots that flip over, which you do not want to do. It'll determine not only your balance but also how fast you can move. So it's something to pay attention to. Armor is how much damage something can take before being destroyed, obviously. CPU load is how big of a hit to the petaflops this is going to be, and we'll talk about the flops in a second. Headlights have a disproportionately high amount of P-flops. We'll talk about that later also, though. And then robot ranking. And the robot ranking, you can see for the light chassis cube here, the robot ranking is 0.5, and the robot ranking is what moves the needle along the bottom of the screen that determines what tier your robot fits into. So that's what affects that. Now I mentioned P-flops before, and they are up in the corner here. So your level, as you win battles, you gain experience. This experience increases your level. So the higher your level is, the higher capacity your CPU will become. More advanced weapons and parts require higher levels of CPU capacity. So if you want to use the greatest equipment, you'll need to grind out those levels. and they increase your P-flops up here. So you can check the P-flops on the part. You can see I have 425 P-flops total available. I'm using 362 of them now. I can't get a weapon that uses too many P-flops because it won't fit on here, and I'll run out, and that'll be a bummer because I can't fit it on there, right? So that's very important, and this plays a huge role as we move up through the level. So pay attention to that. The last thing before we get into how to build a robot and improve upon this little design that we have here is the tech tree and tech points, and this is really important. So if you hit T, you get into the tech tree. Right now there are four, I just zoomed out real quick, there are four basic arms of the tech tree. The right arm, the rightmost arm, it governs weapons. Very generally speaking, governs weapons. The lower arm, or the one that points down, governs generally radar. You also have the mega bot seat, which you need, and the mega ship for your mega bot. We'll get into those way later, but that's the bottom arm. The leftmost arm governs all things movement: wheels, thrusters, hover blades, airfoils, rotors, walking legs. Everything you need to move in this game is over on the left side. Tracks, I almost forgot tracks, like tank tracks. And then the northernmost branch, or the upward pointed one, actually splits about halfway into it, right when you get to T2. But basically what happens is we have the cubes, the armor cubes that we build the bots out of primarily, and then we have electroplating, which is a more advanced type of armor system. We also have helium blocks if you choose to make a robot that flies, and we'll get into all of these in a different later episode. Right now we're concerned with all the stuff right near the middle here because that's close to tier 1. So when you win battles or you perform well in battles, you earn tech points. Now we currently have no tech points. You can see the tech points are up here. They're indicated in the star. Each star has a number in it, which you can see over on the left side of the screen. Tier 1, tier 2, 3, 4, etc. Tier 10 up to tier TX1, which is represented by the X. Now we use those to unlock the more powerful weapons and parts for our robots. Things you unlock with tier 1 points can only be unlocked by tier 1 points, which can only be won through tier 1 battles. So in other words, let's say I want to unlock more powerful SMGs for my SMG bot, right? To get the tier 3 SMGs, I'll need to win tier 2 battles with my tier 2 robot. If I had 10,000 extra tier 1 points, no matter what, I couldn't use them to make tier 2 purchases. You understand? That's kind of a big point. Now, there is a way for you to get around that. There is one way for you to get around that. You can convert any tech points from any level with Galaxy Cash, which is real world money, which is GC, into Uber tech points, and then those Uber tech points can be spent on any level. That's how you move through and navigate the tech tree and how you advance your weaponry. So let's move on to building your first bot. Okay, so here we are in the garage bay, in the mothership bay. First things first, if you hit G, you can go into the garage. You can see that you have 3 bays available. Bay 1, 2, and 3. You can build robots in each of these bays, and it will save the designs for you. You can also extend your bays by using 750 Galaxy Cash, and you can add as many bays as you want. It's awesome. You can also name your robots up here, so pay attention to that. There are some really funny names that people come up with, and some really nasty ones too, but definitely do this. So we'll name this robot, let's call him William, because that's a nice name. And we can move around him. To save the name, you have to hit enter. You'll notice if it's saved or not, because you'll notice the name of Robo1 here will disappear if I hit enter. There we go. So that's William. And then I just do load robot, and then he appears in the bay. If I hit G to go back into the garage, I hit bay 2, and then I do load robot. This is what's in the bay, which we don't want. So let's go back. We'll load up our first robot. This is the one that comes standard when you start, right? And I'm using W, A, S, and D to fly around, and then I'm using space to move up and shift to move back down. One important function that I want to share with you guys is how to use the mirror function. In the controls, I believe it's X. In the controls, I've hotkeyed mine to the equal sign. But the mirror function, enable mirror edit mode, mine is E. Double check to make sure what yours is. And when I hit that, the red line appears. Now, if I have a prism block selected here, and if I move to the right, you can see, boom, automatically 2 appear, and they allow you to build symmetrically, and they pull blocks automatically out of your inventory for you into those spaces, and they place them for you, so you can build a symmetrical robot extremely quickly, and I recommend using it at all times. It saves you so much time. Additionally, using the comma or period keys will move the robot up and down. Using the arrow keys will move it left and right. If you notice, though, when you move it left or right with the arrow keys, it does not change the mirror axis, so pay attention to that. Anyway, let's get into building this guy. Those are the tips I need you guys to know, because they'll help you build a lot more quickly. First things first, unless you're building a robot where you're more advanced, you're deeper or farther into the game, and appearance is important to you, like you know what you're doing already, we need to get rid of these windshields, because windshields are useless. Okay, if we hit Q to go into our inventory, you can see the windshield cube has armor of 50, which is the same as a light chassis cube, but we need to get rid of as many light chassis cubes or heavy chassis cubes as we can as we move up. Your robot does not need to see, so as soon as we move up, the windshield cubes are the first to go. I recommend getting rid of them right away. I'm using right click to delete blocks, and I'm using the middle click on my mouse wheel to pick the blocks that I want. So if I want to use, this looks like a cube, a white armor cube, I'm going to middle click on it and it selects that automatically for me. So that really helps you as you're kind of navigating the blocks and flying around the screen to pick blocks, so you don't have to keep going and hitting Q and going into your inventory. Additionally, to rotate a block to get a different orientation of that block, I'm hitting R and it's rotating. They rotate in different directions depending on what block you're touching. So you can see there's a green dotted line rotating along the bottom of this prism, and then if I go to put it on the side here, now it's on that side, so it rotates it in a different direction. That's something to pay attention to also. So we're getting rid of all of these blocks, the prism blocks. The headlight is very useful and it is underrated, and I use it as far as every tier I've ever played in. I use it. It can be activated or deactivated in-game by hitting L, and if a sniper has his laser on you and you turn your headlight on, it will occasionally cause them to miss. It creates a lens flare, which makes you harder to spot. So it's something to use. It doesn't save you every time a sniper's on you, but 1 in 10 times it will, which is enough to make a difference. So we'll get rid of this for right now. Let's also get rid of all these guns, and let's talk about wheels. The front wheel here, you can see it's got this kind of radius line on it, as does this one. These two don't. These are just regular wheels, regular drive wheels. They move straight. The front wheels on this bot and the back wheels on this bot are steering type. I use SMG robots, which is the first one we're provided with here, which everybody starts with. And I don't have any regular drive wheels. They are only steering wheels. So remember, I'm using the mirror function here, so it's deleting both things or adding things on both sides as we go. So my first plan is to get rid of those. Step number 2 for me is to actually move these in a little bit. And so I'm going to get rid of them, and I'm going to put them right here. I'm going to go into movement, wheel steering, not just regular wheel steering. And we're going to get rid of these so we fit. And we're going to put those in there. And we're going to put those in there. Okay? Now, why did we do this? Well, a couple of things. One, we're going to enclose the wheels because the wheels can't get shot off if nobody can see them. So I'm just going to smooth this out as best I can and cover up these wheels. Now, these blocks are free, so we can use as many of them as we like. Now the wheels are covered and protected with armor, so that's big. The second most important, well actually the first most important thing, but the second thing we're going to talk about, the second important thing we're going to talk about building the bots is to protect this chair. If the blocks on the vehicle become separated from blocks connected to the chair, they are destroyed. So in other words, if the blocks underneath this chair are destroyed, your robot is destroyed. So we don't want him in the front. We don't want the robot seat in the front unprotected. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to select it first by hitting middle click again to pick it, and then right click to delete it, and I'm going to slide it almost as far back as we can. I like keeping it somewhere to the middle of the robot, so that would be here-ish. That way it's protected and the walls around it in all directions are about equally as thick. I'm going to go ahead and clear out these blocks up here. You can see how quickly the mirror function is helping us out here. I'm going to get rid of these here too. And now I want to talk to you guys real quick about the difference between these dark and light blocks. If you hit Q, we go into chassis. You can see these are called the heavy chassis cube. And it's heavy chassis cube versus light chassis cube. Heavy chassis cube sounds like it's going to be more armored, but it's not. It's just heavier. And if we hover over, we can see the armor ranking is 50, or the armor rating for this is 50 for the light chassis cube. The heavy chassis cube armor is also 50. It weighs 3 times more than the light chassis cube. So if we're going to use them, we should put them at the bottom so we don't tip over. We're going to keep our center of mass as low as we can. And this will help prevent us from tipping over. So I am just putting these all along the bottom. Okay, so now I've connected the barriers that protect the wheels to the center of our robot. I'm gonna get rid of these prism blocks. Gonna get rid of those angled blocks. I'm gonna get rid of these. The way the back looks is fine. Right now we're trying to build a functional bot that is going to win matches for us. So I'm also going to smooth out the robot. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of build up the front a little bit like this. This will give us extra protection for the wheels. Using the prism blocks, okay, is helpful for filling in armor around, especially around the wheels. So I'm doing that. You can see I'm just hitting R to rotate around them until they fit. Filling in, filling in, filling in. So the block's turning red, which means I can't place it there. So again, switching to the prism blocks, and I'm just going in and filling around the bot here. Now I can't place a block there. No big deal. We'll just move around, and I'll show you what I usually do with those here in a second. Okay, so they're all filled in, and I'm just going to fill in behind myself right there. Okay, now we have a tank-like looking thing, which is kind of cool, and that's going to work well for us. What I want to do is now enclose the pilot's chair as best we can. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that's enclosed. Now let's talk about adding some firepower to this. So I'm going to go into hardware. We have 6 top mount SMGs. So let's go ahead and get them on there. Now these can fit nice and close together, so I recommend doing that. I'm going to put these here, and then I'm going to take, if I can get a prism cube, I'm going to take a prism cube, and I'm going to place it to cover right there. So now the holes by our wheels are covered, and additionally we have rails to put our last two to put our last 2 SMGs on there. Now, the way SMGs work, and we all start with SMGs, the way SMGs work is that their maximum rate of fire is achieved with 6 guns. Any more than that and they become redundant. Now, they will get blown off through the course of battle, so that is something to think about if you want to have extra ones, but I only ever use 6. You're gonna have to figure out your play style as you gain more experience and make that call. But right now I'm just adding some extra stuff between my guy and the front, and I'm going to close them in just a little bit more here. We can't close them in too much because the seat itself does take up some space. I'm trying to build him in and not obstruct those as best we can. Alright, that's pretty much it. This is our first bot. This design is vastly superior than the first design with the open robot cockpit. So this is where I recommend going with it. Let's take it out into battle. We'll just do some practice with it so I can show you guys how it works, and then we'll wrap up this episode. So here we are in practice mode, which I recommend doing all the time before you ever enter into a battle with your actual robot. Why? Because you might build and forget to add a way to steer it. That's an issue. So don't do that. It happens. I still do it occasionally. So pay attention. Don't be the guy on the team that does that. So I hit E from the garage bay, working on the robot. I hit E and then I hit P to get into practice mode, and here we are. I am steering using the W, A, S, and D keys. I'm hitting R to turn right. I'm hitting L to turn left. And you can see because we have the weight at the bottom, so here's basically a this is like the original bot with just some slight modifications to hold the flag. Okay. Also his guns have been removed. But that is what we used to look like, and here is what we look like now. I say we waste them. So what I'm going to do is, with the SMG, I'm going to zoom in by holding down right, which improves your accuracy. And I'm just going to unleash on him. Now he's going to explode. I'm close enough to just go in a full auto mode by holding down the left click button, but that is not how you should use SMGs. SMGs work best and with the greatest amount of accuracy using short bursts. You can see that as I hold down the left click, the reticle opens up and my accuracy is frickin' gone. So keep it together, short bursts, pick your shots, and you will do really well. So I'm just, I took off one of the tracks here on this guy. I'm close enough now that I can open up full auto. He's turning to face me, but they have no guns. These are just a practice bot, so spend some time in here is my recommendation to you. Spend some time in there for sure. Get used to your dude. And then one last thing that I wanted to show you guys about the upgraded first bot that we have is the following. So I am going at full speed. We're moving at a decent pace. I'm going full speed, and then when I'm turning, you can see because we used the heavy armor cubes at the bottom, at full speed, we're not flipping over. I challenge you to try and do that with a fast robot with a higher center of gravity. You can't do it. And when you flip over, let's see if we can get ourselves a flip here. If you flip over in battle, and I just have one more tip that I want to give you guys. I can't even make myself flip here. Can't even make myself flip. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, I've managed to flip myself over here, and this is why you do not want to flip over. If you get flipped over, you hit F, and this sequence starts, which takes 10 seconds. You can gently move your robot a small amount while you are flipping or turn it, but that entire 10 seconds, you are open to attack, and you cannot shoot back. Do not flip over at all costs. If you do, pray that there is not an enemy near you. The last thing I want to tell you guys about is this.
Scout cruiser spotted.
Scout cruiser spotted. Now you can see down on the minimap, the red dot that appears. That lets everybody on my team know where that person is. I've spotted them using Q. This prevents things like, and I'll do it again here.
Scout cruiser spotted.
Scout cruiser spotted. And you can see it flashes on the minimap and everything. Eventually it goes away, but this allows and prevents people from being on your team from being ambushed. If you can see someone and someone on your team is about to come around a corner, and you know, they don't know that that person's there, if you mark them, they're not going to get killed. It's very thoughtful. If you spot everybody that you can see by hitting Q when they're in your sights, you have to aim at them, you can kind of get a sense. Like if I look at my mini-map now, everybody's in the middle of the map or headed towards the middle of the map. So if we're trying, you know, as a team, if we're trying to plan a strategy, you know, we're helping everybody out because we can see the movement of the enemy troops. So definitely take that into consideration. Please be a good player to your teammates. And spot, for the love of Jesus, please, baby, please. Anyway, that is it for this beginner tips tutorial video. I hope you dudes enjoyed it. I hope you guys had a good time watching it and found it useful. If there are any tips as a pro player that you think beginners should know that you think I have missed here, and I didn't go into huge detail about every type of thing, you know, let me know, and we'll include it either in a second video, maybe with more robot building tips, and we'll have more of those videos coming up for you guys too as we unlock and move up the tiers with different robots, different styles of robots, an awesome walker like this, maybe some walker legs, maybe some electroplating. We'll get into radar. We got a lot to cover, and it's going to be totally awesome. Kickflip 360 no scope off the cliff edge. Anyway, that is it for me for this episode. Thanks again, dudes. I'll catch you guys next time. It's TheeRealDuke, and I'm out.